Welcome back. Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc. We're also streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. Welcome SW Prequels. We love SW Prequels. On Periscope, at Michael_Dolce. And our next guest is, he's been doing comics for God knows how long. And he's pretty much, he co-created that indie film guy called Deadpool. So I want to welcome Fabian Nicieza to the show.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Now, you actually are very familiar with both myself and Hassan, actually. Hassan goes back to the Valiant days, correct?
Intimately familiar with both of you.
That's the way we like to...
Listen to how happy he sounds about that.
So, you've written over 1,000 comics, from Superman to Spider-Man, Buffy to Barbie. You've pretty much worked on everything. You co-created Deadpool for Marvel. Is there anything that you haven't worked on yet that you want to sink your teeth into?
In comic books?
Yeah.
There's always been a lot of house characters for Marvel or DC that I still would have liked to have had a shot at. I don't have that many regrets, luckily, and I don't lament the ones that exist that much, but I would love to have had a shot at writing Captain America monthly. I would love to have had a shot at writing at least a one-year arc on a Doctor Strange monthly book.
Wow.
Back in the early 90s, I pitched to try to get the monthly Doctor Strange book, and I didn't get it because editor was frankly terrified of what I pitched, which wasn't a big deal. It was just the second coming of Christ and Doctor Strange having to stop it because the spiritual promotion of the planet happened, and that was going to give the Dark Gods an entry to take over the planet. So he basically had to stop the second coming of Christ, is what it amounted to. And apparently that scared him off a little bit. But it was a really good story. I wish I would have had a chance to tell it.
Well, it's liberal Marvel
and
now
there's
would
characters
do it.
at DC that I would like to have had a shot to do more of. I got to work on the Trinity weekly book, and I did all the backups in that when Kurt Busiek was doing the main section, and I got to write a gajillion DC characters in that. But I would love to have had a chance at like a Hawkman or an Atom type of thing. I got to write Nightwing a little bit, and he's my favorite character in comics since I was 5-6 years old. Dick Grayson Robin was my favorite character. And I got to write the monthly Robin and Red Robin book, so I got to write Tim Drake. So, yeah, no, not that much in that regard.
So you haven't accomplished anything
I still want to do
in
more
comics.
creator own stuff, but I'm honestly just too damn lazy.
So you've accomplished nothing, is what you're saying, and that's, there's nothing. There's
Yeah,
nothing
you know
wrong
what?
with that.
I do have a gut feeling that I did too much too soon, and that kind of tired me out faster than it should have. So I started to gravitate away from comics 15 years ago because I had burnt myself out a little bit on them post Acclaim. So I started to look for other things to do, and that took me to a lot of work outside of comics.
Cool. That's actually a great segue, too, and we love segues on the show. What was it like creating comics in the early 90s during the hysteria?
It was interesting. That's the best way I could put it.
No. We want dirt here.
Dirt. It honestly was the best of times, the worst of times. There were tremendous positives to all of that. Not just the work environment was great for the most part at Marvel. We had a great time. We really all cared about each other a lot. We worked together very well at a certain point where people were working, all the different departments were working pretty well together. That was like 88, 89 to about 93 or so. Things started to fall downhill after the company got bought by Perlman, and they started to raise their expectations of what the company had to do to perform to the standards to which they could steal money from the company and pocket it. And that started to create undue pressures, which started to create rifts within the company. But working on the comics was pretty exciting. But I was doing so much, and it was under such stressful conditions that I wasn't able to enjoy it enough at the time, and I certainly don't enjoy it in hindsight because I don't think that the work that a lot of the work that I was involved with was as good as it could have been or should have been. So that's why I say best of times, worst of times, because I'm writing a lot of the top-selling books. I'm cashing big checks. I got giant lines at conventions for autographs. That's all fun. I'm doing Pizza Hut videos with Stan Lee. Everything's hunky-dory fun, but the work itself is something that I wasn't proud of at the time for the most part. Not every title, but certainly the X titles, and that always makes it hard in hindsight to look back at it.
So I have two questions for you. One is, how did you get your first break? I'm curious. I mean, you said you were piling on so much at once. So that's my first question, and it leads right into my second question. How come you never got a Levi's commercial?
All right, the Levi's commercial. Let me do the former first. My first big break wasn't necessarily a big break per se, because I was already working on staff in the company. I was the company's advertising manager.
Okay.
So I was doing all the promo house ads, promo posters for the direct market, direct sales flyers, all that kind of stuff. That was my job. So I was very, very engaged and involved with editorial. And I got to sell my first story that saw print, because the schedules on the New Universe titles were such a disaster area that they were desperate for work. So I got to sell an inventory story that way. Mm-hmm. And I got assigned Sci-Force as a monthly book by Shooter right before he collapsed the line, and about less than a year before he got fired. So it's like I didn't even feel like I earned that, because it was just given to me, mm-hmm. and I was forced on an editor. So that was a little uncomfortable. I didn't really feel like I earned my way into Marvel until I got New Warriors. When I got New Warriors, that's when I felt finally I'd worked my way to get that title. I did a whole bunch of shorts inventory stories and 8-page stuff for Marvel Comics Presents, which was collecting inventory well in advance of its publication. Annual backups. I did all of that for like 2 years after Sci-Force got canceled. So when I got New Warriors #1, a mainstream superhero title in the Marvel Universe that I get to kick off with a new issue, a #1 issue, that's when I finally felt that I'd earned my way into the company as a writer. I was already well entrenched in the company as the advertising manager. I was actually very responsible for a lot of stuff that was going on within the company from a promotional and sales standpoint.
That's great.
As far as the Levi's commercial is concerned,
that's what I want to know.
This is just
that's
so
what we
big.
really want to know.
My penis is so big that it couldn't be contained by a button-fly jean. So they had no choice but to go with other people for those commercials. And that's the truth, and I'm sticking with that story no matter what. No matter what my wife says.
So you're working with Rob Liefeld, working on New Mutants, and then eventually, obviously, it turns into X-Force. Liefeld to me is like the band Green Day. Like they got a lot of flack when they first came out for like not being technically they can't play their instruments and this and that. But then like you kind of look back and you're like, no, they do something really special, right? But when you were writing for Liefeld, did you ever look at his artwork and just be like, what is this guy doing? Where are these shoulder pads coming from? Why are these muscles?
Yeah,
so
well,
big?
that yes and no though. Yes, in that there was lots of things that he was doing as the schedule crept up on him, and
mm-hmm.
as he was trying to juggle a little too much, namely trying to foment and start a brand new comic company while he was working on a monthly comic for Marvel that he was supposed to be writing and plotting and penciling and inking. And Rob likes to juggle a lot. Rob's very enthusiastic about stuff, so he sometimes jumps at the bright light too quickly, and he forgets that the light that he's currently working on still needs to be maintained. And yes, some of the art was rushed, and a lot of that was deadlines. But I also know that he draws very, very well when he wants to, when he has the time, mm-hmm. and when he has the enthusiasm and energy. And so there were instances where you could see stuff that wasn't coming through as good as I knew he was able to do.
Sure.
But I also understood why that was happening. I knew all the other stuff that he was doing and percolating. So. Look, he only drew the book for not even a full year. I mean, we had inventory. We had a guest art shop by Mike Mignola, and then we had Mark Pacella working off of real rough layouts from Rob. So it wasn't that that long of a period of time when you really think about it. It was less than a year of working together on the actual art. And I was working a lot. I was scripting a lot off of layouts because he'd just do the layouts. I'd script off that, and then he'd be fleshing out the layouts and finishing the inks at his studio with himself and his assistants. So I generally never even saw the finished art and my script until the vellum balloon placements were placed on the original art boards when they came in for a final proofread. So it wasn't even like, it wasn't the same kind of a process as working on New Warriors was, which I did the plot. Mark Bagley gave you the pencils. The pencils were completely finished and crisp and clear, and he handed in pages 1 through 22 in order. You know, so that was a very different kind of a working experience. But all comics, all monthly comics are different working experiences. This just happened to be the way it was being done on X-Force.
So, talking about X-Force, obviously, New Mutants introduced Deadpool. I read this recently, doing my barely any research for the show. As it stands, he's an homage to the character Deathstroke. As the often quote goes, "You do the Deathstroke in the Deadpool," to the point where even writer Fabian Nicieza acknowledged it. He wrote to Liefeld, "This is Deathstroke from Teen Titans." He even named the character Wade Wilson as an acknowledgement. Is that the? Give us the origins.
I don't know where
Deadpool.
you're reading that from. I don't know where you're reading that from, but that's a bastardization of anything I've ever said or the real truth. Okay. The character was never created to be an homage of Deathstroke.
Okay.
He was never created to be a parody of Deathstroke.
Take that, movie blog.
An homage is a purposeful tip of the hat to a pre-existing character, and a parody is a purposeful comedic slant on an existing character.
Ah, okay.
The character was designed to be a combination of Spider-Man and Punisher. Rob wanted a thin character who could bounce around Cable and fight in a different way and had big guns and knives and swords. Now, there is definitely a touch of George Perez's costume design at work when it came to some of the harness belts and pouches and katana blades. And that's not just from Deathstroke, though. That's also from Taskmaster. Okay. A lot of people seem to want to forget because they love to bash Rob and they love to belittle the Deadpool creative process. A lot of people seem to forget that if you hold up Taskmaster and Deathstroke next to each other, you'll see a lot of similarities in some of the touches there, too. And those characters were designed 1 year apart by George Perez himself, okay? So Rob was definitely channeling a love of George Perez when he was doing aspects of that character design, and that's what I was joking with him about.
Sure.
And and it wasn't writing it down. This was over the phone, and I named him Wade Wilson as a civilian identity as nothing more than an in-joke between me and Rob for me having joked about the George Perez costume and pouches stuff. I never said anything about that publicly for 15 years, okay? I guarantee you, not a single letter we ever got at Marvel, and we used to get thousands of letters for that book, not a single letter ever said, "You ripped off Deathstroke because his name is Wade Wilson." 99% of the people didn't even realize it. And I'm not kidding, and I'm not bullshitting. That's just the absolute truth. Until I said it in an interview years later that I named him Wade Wilson as an in-joke between me and Rob because of the George Perez Deathstroke love. Okay? So the response I have, and now I get angry about it because it perpetuates on the internet as a falsehood, and then people read snippets of misappropriated information.
Wait. Are you telling me that the things on the internet is not true? That's not,
yes. I am telling you that some of the things on the internet may not be true.
I told you Fabian had
other than the size of Donald Trump's inauguration audience, not everything on the internet is true. Right? But the thing that now you made me lose my train of thought. And I was just getting my dander going.
It's time for commercial.
The thing that bothers me the most of all is people who say he was created to be a parody of Deathstroke. And my response to that is pretty simple. Although 9 times out of 10 when I say it to somebody, they look at me with a blank face because they don't even know the details of Deathstroke as a character. So how could they even claim it's a parody of Deathstroke? But that's besides the point.
Sure.
They want to look at its surface value. My response to you, if you guys know anything about comics, which you're supposed to because you're doing this show, okay? My
we have no
to
credentials here. I don't understand what you're talking about.
Does Deadpool have a butler named Spearmint? And what is your answer to that?
Does Deadpool have a butler named Spearmint?
Yeah.
No.
Son goes no.
Does Deathstroke have a butler named Wintergreen?
Yes.
Yes, he does. If Deadpool was a parody of Deathstroke, my poor lack of skill fashion back in 1991, he would have had a butler named Spearmint, wouldn't he? Does Deadpool have a son who is blind and can't smell, can't hear, and can't touch? The answer is no, he does not. If he had been a parody of Deathstroke, he would have had a son who couldn't hear, smell, or see, or touch, because Deathstroke had a son who couldn't talk, who was mute, okay? So, which actually, in hindsight, I wish I'd done that, because that would have been really funny. So, in my mind, at 30 years old, with the lack of experience I had as a writer, a parody of a character would have come across like Mad Magazine. It would have been overt and purposeful. And nothing about the Deadpool character has anything to do with Deathstroke's character. Not even the healing ability that people throw out at me. I was like, are you kidding me? That Rob was just copying Wolverine's healing factor because Rob thought that was cool and he thought that it would help Deadpool's cred, right? I'm the one who didn't want to call it a healing factor because I thought it was stupid that every character under the sun was starting to have healing factors. So all I did is BS technobabble, and I called it perpetual cellular regeneration. That's what he has. And that actually led to me getting to the point of why did he go to the Weapon X program to try to help himself, which resulted in him being this way. And the reason for that is because of the cancer. Deathstroke doesn't have cancer. My mother-in-law had cancer. That's why Deadpool had cancer.
We're not laughing for the mother-in-law had cancer part.
To try to save his life, and that's what ended up turning him into a monster, and that's what ended up making his brain crazy. His brain is crazy because the brain cells are constantly in flux because of the perpetual cellular regeneration. Just doesn't sound as good as a healing factor. It doesn't trip off the tongue as easily. So I get my dander up because I'm sick and tired of answering the same questions again and again and again. It's been 25 plus years, and it's all in print. It's on paper. You can actually read the comics and make a determination for yourself whether you think a character is actually a parody of another character.
We've got a fired up Fabian Nicieza here, which I'm kind of proud of that we got you fired up. But you know, unfortunately,
you know me too well. You can ask anybody at work. It doesn't take too much to fire me up. I got yelled at on Tuesday because I was told I'd go bananas over the littlest thing. And I said that wasn't even me going bananas. Wait till I do Dolce show on Wednesday. Oh my God.
Well, you definitely delivered in that question, but now we've actually run out of time, and I can't get you to my Tiger Beat question, which is the Dream X-Men lineup question. So we're gonna have to have you back on at some point, and we're gonna do that. And we didn't even get into Celebrity Mad Libs. I was gonna do Celebrity Mad Libs with you. I'm deeply upset now.
Yeah, but what you got was way better than Celebrity.
Well, we don't know actually.
You either got to book me for more time because you got to plan for me rambling, or you got to not ask me questions that make me ramble. I will hint at my next appearance though. Any Tiger Beat X-Men lineup has to begin with Bobby Sherman. Okay.
Okay.
We'll go from there.
All right, Fabian. That is Fabian Nicieza, co-creator of Deadpool. He also has his name up on a street sign in the movie, which had to be pretty cool for you, right?
Yeah, it was kind of fun. Yeah, it was good. It was nice. I'm glad they did that. A percentage of the gross would have been even nicer, but it's okay that they did that. That was nice.
I'll take a street sign. All right, Fabian, we're definitely gonna have to have you back on the show. It's been awesome, and we'll talk. Because I'm sure that Deadpool guy is gonna be around a little longer, so
Maybe.
I'm sure we'll have you.
I hope at least another 10 to 20 years. Yeah.
Fabian Nicieza, everybody. When we come back, we'll pick it up from there somehow.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.